Alright, I am back live to bring you another team breakdown. This time, it's going to be the Houston Oilers. A team that does not exist anymore. The Houston Oilers moved to Tennessee in 1996. Stayed the Tennessee Oilers for a couple years, 97, 98. And then changed their team name to the Tennessee Titans. And the Houston Texans were an expansion team. So the franchise still exists, but it's in Tennessee and they're named the Titans. So the Houston Oilers, the Super Bowl was just in Houston this Sunday. And it was the tale of two halves indeed. But we're not here to talk about that right now. And honestly, I don't want to talk about it anymore, because I wasn't too happy with the outcome. But this Houston Oilers team is led by Warren Moon and their great four wide receivers. So let's take a look at Warren Moon. You ran the table with the Oilers. Nobody can touch me. That's good. All right, the chat box is open. I will respond to the chat mostly after I get through the team or the player ratings. So, Warren Moon. So, a misconception is that Warren Moon is fast in this game. 19 maximum speed. He's not actually a quick quarterback. He has enough to be mobile, but he's not fast. But his passing speed is quick with 69. He has a superb pass control at 75. And that accuracy of passing doesn't do anything. Don't want to pay attention to that stat. And his avoid pass block is also high at 63. So Warren Moon's a star quarterback, and you're going to be using him and not Cody Carlson. He is a guy that's going to stay on the bench. Warren Moon was the man. Eddie George fan for sure. Cody Carlson, yeah. So he's a 13 maximum speed, so he's slower. Every statistic that matters or rating is lower, so you're not going to use Cody Carlson. Now, LORENZO White, he is their running back. So if the Oilers have a weakness on offense, it is their running game. 44 maximum speeds, enough to get you by, to break some runs. You could get past some drone defenders. But he also has a 19 ball control, which means he'll fumble more. Now, I did look into this to see maybe why his rating was a 19 ball control, because the rest of the team is at 81. They're another one of those teams like the Redskins. And he did fumble 7 times in 1990, so maybe that has to do with his rating with the ball control being poor. So with the lower ball control, you will fumble more frequently. And his hitting power is 38. Which will save him from being completely flattened versus some defenders. Okay, now here's where we get into the wide receiving core. Ernest Givins, 56 maximum speed, 75 receptions. So he is a star wide receiver. His running speed, 44. 69 rushing power. Those don't matter as much on offense as they do on defense. At least not for the wide receivers. Okay, and this is one of their other running backs, so they do have a wide receiver in one of the running back slots because they have a 4 wide receiver offense. So Alan Pinkett, 38 maximum speed, 25 hitting power. You might want to take a look at him throughout the game. He does have an 81 ball control. If he does go in excellent condition, he could pick up speeds at least up to LORENZO White's 44, maybe even better. Victor Jones, another running back, also at 38, only in 25 receptions, 25 hitting power, so also look at Victor Jones throughout the course of the game. Another star receiver, Haywood Jeffries, 50 maximum speed. He's not quite as fast as Givins. He also has a 75 receptions and that 81 ball control. You're not going to be fumbling as much with the Oilers. And here's your fastest receiver, Drew Hill, 63 maximum speed, 75 receptions. So you got 3 guys at 75 receptions. I mean, that's just incredible to have 3 guys with a rating that high in reception. Then you got another running back down here, Doug Lloyd, another guy with 38 maximum speed, 25 hitting power, so you can look at his condition. So you got 3 guys off the bench that might be of use to you at running back if their condition goes up. Tony Jones, wide receiver, he's one of the receivers that is not very good. He still has that 81 ball control. Yeah, Lorenzo White did fumble too much, I guess. So, yeah, he's going to stay on the bench. 50 receptions, still okay. Curtis Duncan. So, here's your 4th wide receiver. He's still a 50 maximum speed with 63 receptions. 63 is still very high for a wide receiver. So, he is a good wide receiver, solid speed. And then you got Gerald McNeil, another wide receiver. He's actually not too bad. 44 maximum speed. 44 receptions, but they're so loaded at wide receiver, you're not going to probably put him in. And as you can see, this is a team that has no tight ends. Yeah, Jeffries and Hill, definitely a good duo. You can't go wrong with those 2 guys, plus Ernest Givins and Curtis Duncan. All right, so let's take a look at the offensive line here. You got 50 hitting power for the center. 63 left guard, Bruce Matthews 69. Left tackle is 50, Don Maggs. Dean Steinkohler 50. So I would say they're above average. They got 3 guys who could hold their own and 2 stars right in the middle there with your left guard. So and not too bad for the offensive line, blocking for Warren Moon so he could get his thing going in the passing game. So Tony ZENDEJAS, he's got a 38 kicking ability and a 31 void kick a block. So not too good if the game comes down to a field goal at the end. Kicking ability 38, that's good for about a 66 yard field goal. So just at about the 49-yard line, he should be able to kick one in. All right, so that's the offense for the Oilers. Let's take a look at the defense. The defense is very good, actually. I wouldn't say it's great, but versus the best teams, they definitely have some standout guys. And Sean Jones at the right end is one of them. 56 maximum speed, 56 hitting power. And that quickness, 56, doesn't do anything. Don't pay attention to it. Doug Smith, not as quick, but still 50 hitting power, 38 maximum speed. And then William Fuller's no slouch at the other end, 50 maximum speed, 56 hitting power. His running speed's not as fast as Sean Jones with that 38, so Jones is one of the guys you can use or control on defense. Now the linebacking core with Johnny Meads, only 38 maximum speed, 31 hitting power. The linebacking core is just average here. You got Al Smith in the middle. Hitting power is kind of low, 38. Not going to use him for too much. None of these guys are really coverage linebackers. John Grimsley, 38 maximum speed, 19 interceptions, 31 hitting power. But you got Ray Childress. He is the star with your linebacking core on the left side there. 63 hitting power, 56 maximum speed, 19 interceptions. You're definitely going to be controlling him at times. User controlling Ray Childress. He's at the opposite side of your best defender, Richard Johnson, 75 interceptions. That's great for getting some picks. And a 63 maximum speed. At the snap of the ball, that running speed, he starts at 38. Accelerating at a 50 rushing power. And the quickness doesn't do anything, but good hitting power, 44. Chris DISHMAN, 44 maximum speed. So 56 interceptions, which is still pretty good. So, he could do some damage on the other side, but you're not going to use or control him. He's too slow for that. Terry Kinyard, you can use him if you want. He's got a 50 maximum speed, 44 hitting power, 56 interceptions. But, Childress and Johnson are probably your 2 best options as defenders. And also, if you like to use lineman, Sean Jones. Then Boba McDowell's your strong safety, 44 maximum speed. That will also be your punt returner's max speed, 44, due to how they program the game. He has a 44 hitting power and still a solid 50 interceptions. I stay away from using like Sean Jones, user control defender, because there are some rules in the tournament on how you can run in the line. You have to go outside or bust through or popcorn, shake off one of the offensive linemen. So I usually don't use the defensive linemen too often. All right, so we took a look at their team ratings. Also, the right tackle has a 25 maximum speed, and also due to the programming, your kick returner is going to have a 25 maximum speed. Now, if you notice going through the team's offense, they don't really have anyone too strong at hitting power. So I'm just going to leave it as is, and I think they have MCNEIL there. You could put LORENZO White there because he has a 38 hit power. You know, it could just prevent you being flattened by some defenders, but you know he has a low ball control, so I'm just going to leave MCNEIL there. And then let's head on over and talk about the matchup. So, in getting you prepared for the Tecmo Madison tournament, who do you pair the Houston Oilers with if you dare to call them? Now, the dangerous thing about the Houston Oilers is your opponent can know nothing about the ratings, and no matter who he's throwing the ball up to with Warren Moon, besides for LORENZO White, he has a higher probability of covered catches, and you know that's not a good thing because you know the game may not be decided by complete skill, but that's Tecmo Super Bowl for you. That's why we love the game, because even if you're great, there's still a lot of suspense to be had based on how the game plays and how the ratings work. So Houston Oilers, I've talked about how they're in that upper echelon of teams with the Bills, Giants, 49ers. And they are. But if you pair them versus any of those three teams, they're at a slight disadvantage. All those teams are a little bit more well-balanced overall. You know, have better defenses. So you probably don't want to pair them up against one of those teams. But if you just want to have a shootout, you know, go against the 49ers and just see what happens. One interesting thing that I just learned is that the Detroit Kumite tournament coming up, if that's how you pronounce it, you know, in their elimination tournament at the end, you pick which team you want based off the seeding, and the first seed gets first pick and so on. The only three teams outlawed are the Bills, Giants, and 49ers. So the Houston Oilers are a team that you'll still be able to pick, and I would say they're a good option if you're the first or second seed for sure. So Houston Oilers, who would I pair them against if I was going in the Tecmo Madison tournament or in this style where you have to pick both matchups? Raiders are a team I would pick, and the Bears. I would match them up against those two teams. Now, obviously, the strengths of the Raiders and the Bears are the running games on offense, and Houston's is the passing game. So if you feel like you're good at both, or you feel like you can entice your opponent into a strong passing game with Houston, you want to try to run all over them with the Bears or the Raiders, those are good matchups. The Bears have the DBs to combat Warren Moon and all their wide receivers, so that's a good option. And then also the Raiders have a good defense as well. They're not as high in interception ratings to combat it, but you know, you got Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen, and you got tons of speed on offense as well. So those are probably like the main two teams that I would match them up against. But it's only specifically if you're looking to maybe get a run game versus your opponent, or you know, get a strong pass game when you know your opponent wants to run more. Maybe he's a better tapper than you are, and he wants to go with the run game, and then you go with the Oilers. Something like that. So I'm going to match up. I'm going to go Oilers and Raiders for this one. We'll play through a game. Chat box is still open. I'll look at the chat box more often now and respond to anything that's said in there. So Houston Oilers. I'm going to return. I noticed when I played at Tundra Bowl, most of the games I returned, and I always kick off. So from the games that I play here on out, I'm going to try to pick return to get used to, and there's a good return and a fumble, so much for 81 pass control, or not pass control, ball control. So let's see if I could do some bust throughs with Childress here. And there it is, that hit power just flattened them out. So when I say flattened, guy who's carrying the ball, that's what I mean, what just happened right there. So that means that Schroeder's hit power is, I believe it's 50 under for flattening as well as popcorning. So he doesn't really have a chance to even break that tackle. Now a lot of these stats, oh wow. JJ to Melvin Fernandez, nice. A lot of these stat ratings you can look at technogeek.com. They also have a link to an attribute guide that I would suggest looking through. That's where a lot of my knowledge has come of this game. And I noticed today, the Tecmo Madison posted in their blog today another player breakdown, which is a guy named Brewdog. And I think a lot of the knowledge that I've been able to learn about this game is due to his research and knowledge of the game. So I appreciate him for that, because we all have a better understanding of the game that we love so much because of the research being done. But yeah, I read in the blog that he's not a great tapper, and that could put you at a disadvantage, so you have to play more of a flawless game, but it can be done. But that's one of the things that also could be a weakness in my game as well, is my tapping. I'm not a top line tapper. I'm average to above average at best. But I am working on that, so hopefully I could get up there with the big dogs and win some taps. And that throw over the middle on that pass 3 to where the tight end is at, even though it's wide receiver with the Oilers, that's a throw that Warren Moon can make. Oh boy. Alright. And then, you know, that running play, Warren Moon, that I just did, the sneak, I really only picked that play not because Warren Moon's fast, but because you can't run in the tournament. You can't have a wide receiver run. And since they're so stacked at wide receiver, you don't want to actually put in another running back to fill that spot just for that one run play. At least I don't. So you pick that Warren Moon sneak, and sometimes it can be effective, catch your opponent off guard. Especially if you're running mostly 4 wide receiver formations. You know, you could be a run left or right, or a QB sneak right up the middle. And that was just an error in who I picked on defense. So you can see what happens if you pick the wrong guy in defense. Bo Jackson busts through for a huge gain. Here he is again. Johnson's coming from the other side. So what happened in this game is I fumbled the opening kickoff return. So, I mean, that's about one of the worst things you could see if you're playing in a tournament, but you have to persevere. So you're thinking, oh, I got a good kick return off, you know, and I returned first, it's looking good, and then you fumble the ball, so essentially your opponent gets the ball first now. They get the first drive at the beginning of the game and at halftime, so you just gotta fight your way through those things. Those things will happen, and you gotta expect them to happen, because the fumbling system in Tecmo Super Bowl is based off a percentage, and with the website that I gave you, technogeek.com, and it gives you the probabilities, and the attribute guide link posted on that website So, you know, based off of the ball control, the ball carrier has a so-and-so percentage of actually fumbling. Yeah, DISHMAN was good. His ratings aren't too good in this game, but, you know, I think the Japanese developers did a great job with the ratings in this game, even though they could have been a little bit better, but I mean, come on. They didn't have full access to our broadcast, so they did what they could. So yeah, I think the fumble probability, I don't think it gets over, even at your lowest, which would be 6. In Tecmo 6, a 6 rating is the lowest. That's essentially like a 1. I don't think it goes over a 10% for fumbling. Or I don't think at least any of the players have that rating. But, you know, if Lorenzo White gets in bad condition, he's a big-time fumble prospect for sure, so you gotta watch that. Yeah, Sean Jones, yeah, he's a stud player on the defensive line. He's a guy you can user control for sure. I also saw that in the Tecmo Madison blog on their website, I believe it's just TecmoMadison.com, but you could also just Google it. They posted the best players for each team in the blog, so if you just want a quick guide or reference during the tournament, you could bookmark that piece of the blog, and you could just quickly see who the best players are. Because, you know, sometimes you could forget, if you haven't used the team that often, then you got that guide to guide you through it. Also, these videos in the description, I put the best players in the description, who you should user control on defense, so you could use that as a guide as well. And the Raiders are punting. So yeah, playing the computers, especially in preseason, it's nothing special. The AI difficulty is pretty low. If you want higher AI difficulty, you have to play through a season or simulate games of playing the playoffs. It will get harder. The best way for it to get harder is to keep winning. Go 16-0, go in the playoffs. It'll get harder every game.